Welcome to our Q4 Crescendo Workshop. This class is all about crushing your goals and ending your year on a high note. This is a class that I've done. I can't even remember. I think maybe this is the third year I've done it, right? This class is all about helping you get yourself set up for Q4 so that you can have a fantastic end of the year. You can enjoy all of the wonderful activities and things that you want to do in Q4 for holidays, cozy things, celebrations, friends and family, baking, all of the things, presents, all of the things, while still crushing your goals. Okay? Because we're not going to just give up our goals just because it's the end of the year. We're not going to give up our progress just because it's the end of the year, because we all know that the way that we end this year is really going to make or break how we start 2026. Oh, it's so hard to say that. So hard to say 2026. Geez Louise. Not physically. Just, I mean, like, in my mind, it's like, wow, 2026 is happening. Time is moving forward with or without us. We got to get on the bandwagon, right, ladies? So I hope you guys have your planners out, a notebook out, drinks. You guys know me, always double fisting. So I've got my, like, Stanley cup with, there's iced tea in this. And then I've got coffee, iced coffee thing in my beautiful cup. I just got this cup recently at Walmart. Walmart does these like tortoise shell glasses. I really like them. And they had these ones with like little ghosts on them. They're very cute. Latte, unsweetened iced tea. Well, it's like sweetened with like, sugar-free sweetener options. Get your planner. Get your notebook. If you are not in a place right now where you can give this class your attention, I recommend moving yourself, getting yourself like your headphones out if you need to, locking yourself in a room or in a closet. Because I do think that the time that you guys spend with me today, this is one of those examples where, who was it? Benjamin Franklin, who said, every minute spent organizing an hour is earned. Well, we're going to be doing a few hours of planning, I guess. This class will probably end up being 2 hours. It was 2 hours last year, and I think it was 2 hours the year before that. I'm going to try, as always, not to go off on a million different trains of thought and a million different tangents, but you guys know that that's par for the course with me. And a lot of times that's where a lot of like the crazy gold nuggets that I drop out of my mouth come from when I take my trains of thoughts to different places going on tangents. So that is what we're doing today. I'm just going to get my back end here set up. But ladies, I think we are good to go. So welcome to Q4 Crescendo. You are going to crush your goals and you're going to end the year on a high note. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, what does Q4 usually look and feel like for you? I want you to reflect on that right now. If your typical Q4, being October, November, December, right, is busy, meaning that you have more tasks and scheduled items than time to do them in. If it's normally stressful, right, having to manage and interact with so many more people than usual, and your family isn't perhaps the most peaceful, right, because the end of the year with all of these get-togethers and things we do, we see a lot of people that maybe we don't interact with on a regular basis, and so it could be stressful. It could be disheartening, right? You may feel like your personal goals go out the window to make room for other more essential tasks, and you let your standards slip and overindulge, leaving you feeling disappointed in yourself. Does that sound like your typical Q4? Let me tell you now what your Q4 can be with a plan and after going through this class with me today. Number one, Q4 can be the crescendo of your year. A crescendo, that is a musical term that we use, is the highest point reached in a progressive increase of intensity, right? A period of great productivity, alignment, and satisfaction. So Q4 can be your crescendo of your year. It can be the cherry on top of your wonderful year. It can be intentional. It can mean being present with your family to enjoy the season, build family traditions, and create memories. And it can be empowering, doing your best work, crushing your goals, earning more money in your business, and taking care of yourself along the way. All these things go hand in hand. So in this class, what you're going to learn, I'm going to discuss 3 elements that you need to understand in order to properly plan Q4 and build positive momentum and end the year on a high note. These are 3 systems that you need to put in place, 3 things that you need to do before Q4 or if you're watching this, like hopefully you're watching this with me live, right? We're doing this live right in this moment. It is September. So Q4 begins in October. So we're getting this done ahead of time. If you're watching this in September or even in October, I still think it's worth it to go through all of these and put all of these elements in place because they're going to pay off dividends for you. So the three systems that we're putting in place are mindset, simplified goal setting, and we're going to master plan our Q4. Okay? First, if you're not familiar with me, let's talk about who I am. Hi, I'm Alexis. I'm also known as Miss Trenchcoat all across the internet. And I'm a full-time creative entrepreneur. I design and sell productivity and planning tools to help other creative and passionate women get their ideas out of their head and onto paper so they can get down to business creating their dream life. So my work is based on leading edge research in neuroscience, biology, behavioral psychology, and metaphysics. And from my research, I believe that no matter who you are, where you're from, what's in your past, you can achieve any outcome you desire. I'm all about teaching you how to manage your time, your energy, and your expectations so you can reach the goals and objectives that you choose through the simplest strategy possible. And a little bit more about me and my journey that led me to this important work. I consider myself to be like the world's laziest overachiever. I learned from a young age that I could be lazy and still be a high achiever, getting everything I wanted without having to put in all of the time, effort, energy that you think is involved. I was always top of my class in school. I won scholarships. I was in the honor society, et cetera, right? In college, I double majored in art history and political science, and I graduated early from a school where 84% of the students took longer than 4 years to graduate. I worked for a Fortune 50 company and held 4 positions in 5 years, climbing the corporate ladder. I discovered the planner community online. I spent way too much money on all of the planners and the accessories, but I was obsessed with productivity and planning. I definitely tapped into a dormant passion that I held for a long time, but I knew that the path to time management and success wasn't going to be found in 500 planners. It was going to be using one ideal master planning system. So I ended up leaving my job in 2014 at the age of 28 to start my own business, which has been my full-time income for over 10 years now. Wait, what are we at 11 years? It was 11 years this year. I'm best known for my master planning system, my CEO strategy planner, and functional planning methodology. I literally wrote the book on functional planning. And I've learned much more than I ever expected about planning and getting things done over the past decade. And I've helped thousands of women across the globe improve their lives and realize their long-held dreams and aspirations through my content, tools, and strategies. And you are about to become one more. Before we actually begin, I do want to remind you guys that there's a free workbook that went along with this class. If you signed up for it ahead of time, you would have gotten that link emailed to you. But if you are someone who's just seeing this replay or watching the live stream with me right now, and you didn't sign up ahead of time, I want you to know that there is a workbook that goes along with this class for you to do all of the activities and to process things so you have some concrete, like tangible thing to take away with these systems inside. Go ahead and grab that. It's linked down in the description. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump into this class. Like I said, it's 3 systems, 3 parts. Part 1 is mindset. So, mindset refers to your established beliefs about yourself and the way the world works for you. These beliefs are codified primarily in childhood and are often hard to identify, making them hard to reprogram. But one way our mindset, and specifically our limiting beliefs, slip out into our conscious mind is through our self-talk. The way we talk about ourselves, our internal dialogue, and specifically those negative or discouraging things that we tell ourselves that stop us from taking actions that will lead to change. So in this section, I want to discuss some common points of self-talk that indicate limiting beliefs. I want you to identify which of these talking points you recognize from your own internal voice. And I will walk you through how to strategically prove these words wrong, helping you to break the belief and therefore reprogram your mindset. The first limiting belief here, or self-talk element that we're going to talk about, so we're doing this through self-talk things you may hear yourself say, and pay attention to each of these. I think there's 9 of them in total. The first is, I don't have enough time. How often do you hear yourself say that? I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. So the key to challenging this limiting belief is by assessing your daily schedule. You need to identify time-wasting activities or less important tasks that you can delegate or delete to create pockets of time to allocate to higher priority items. So these are things like excessive social media use, unproductive TV or video watching, household chores, overcommitments, unplanned errands. Which time-wasting activities can you identify? And for each, decide if you will delegate the task to someone else, delete the task entirely from your life, or set a boundary to limit it, okay? So I want you guys to think right now, what are the things that right now you already know you do that you're kind of wasting your time with, right? I've got a few options for you on the screen, but think about where you could be taking time back from yourself, right? And reinvesting it into things that are more productive, your goals, right? The things that you want to make happen for yourself, your memories, right? Things like that. So once we've identified what those are, we want to delegate it, maybe give the task to someone else, right? So like certain household chores you might do, you might give it to your partner or your children. You could delete things entirely. Like for example, maybe you're someone who is in the habit of using social media throughout the day. Maybe what you can do is say, like, I'm not going to be using my phone for personal things throughout the day. I'm just going to be focused when I'm at work. I can't use it for personal things. That's also kind of like a boundary, right? Technically as well. Are there any overcommitments, things that you've said yes to that you actually need to say no to? That's something that you can delete. So many of us, especially, I'm talking to women right now. So I will say the word women. I know that like 99% of you are women. And I say it not because this doesn't apply to men too, but because my audience is women. So I'm just kind of like calling you out specifically. But ladies, we know that we have a tendency to do this. When people ask us for help, we often just immediately say yes. And that leads us to have all these overcommitments. Or maybe we are excited to help in the beginning. And then we realize, oh shoot, I've like overbooked myself, right? And sometimes what we have to do is go and have a hard conversation with someone and tell them, look, I know I said yes to this. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to help. That's a way you can delete things out of your life, right? Delete things that are not helping you, right? Or I feel like a little bit of glare in my eyeglasses. Sorry, I was just kind of adjusting the light on the screen. I think that maybe looks better. Okay. So that is self-talk item number one. And limiting belief number one, I don't have enough time. So from now on, when you hear yourself say, I don't have enough time, I want you to remind yourself and program this new phrase into your mind. There is enough time for all my priorities. There is enough time. You have enough time. There's plenty of places where you are spending too much time on things that don't matter. Identify those things, set limits, get rid of them, right? Give them to someone else. Start using that time for priority items, right? Because there is plenty of time for all of our priorities, right? Not everything is a priority. Right? So I don't have enough time. That becomes there's enough time for all my priorities. The second thing you may be saying to yourself is I can't finish anything with the time I have. How often do you hear yourself say that? I can't finish anything in the time that I have, right? This is limiting belief number two. So to overcome this belief, you need to understand the difference between, I think, a project and a task, okay? So that you can break your work into manageable chunks that can be completed in quick bursts of time. So one of the mistakes I think people make, and you guys, if you're familiar with my work, you may have heard me say this already before. A lot of people get overwhelmed with their to-do list and their what they've planned for themselves to do in a day because they put a project on their to-do list as an item, as a line item, when it really needs to be broken down into tasks. So a project is a multi-step outcome that includes several smaller tasks in order to complete it. So that's something like cleaning your home. That's a project. Prepping your meals for the week, that's a project. Creating content, that's a project. Building a presentation for work, that is a project. And a task is an individual action. So things like vacuuming the floor, that's one task that you would do as part of the project of cleaning your home. Making a grocery list, that is the first step you might need to do in order to meal prepping. Outlining a blog post, is one task to do in the process of creating content. And running a report, that might be one step in the larger project of building a presentation. So what you need to do is stop putting complete projects on your to-do list and start breaking them down into the individual tasks that you need to accomplish. And that is going to alone, right, help you understand the amount of time you actually have to use, because it's very hard for us when we put like a project on a to-do list for us to say, how long is this going to take? How long is it going to take for me to meal prep, right? So we kind of like say, okay, well, I've got an hour or two, I can meal prep in this time, right? And then you don't get it done, or it takes much longer than you expected, right? But if you had on your to-do list instead, make a grocery list, well, that's something takes 5 to 10 minutes. Like you can understand better the work that you need to do, the amount of time that you need to set aside for things when you actually break things into the tasks instead of putting the projects, right? So start listing out individual tasks instead of full projects. That's going to give you a better expectation and understanding of how much time you need and how much you can actually get done. And then you can see, like, actually, you know what? I can't do all my meal prep today. I only have 2 hours. I'm going to be able to make my grocery list today, and I'll be able to go grocery shopping in 2 hours, but I'm not going to be able to prep the food, right? So you're going to have to plan that for another day. And that's how we stop over planning, right? The reason you can't finish anything with the time you have is because you are thinking you're going to get like 5 hours worth of work done in like an hour, because you're looking at things as a project instead of understanding the individual tasks. So the next time you find yourself saying, I can't finish anything with the time I have, I want you to switch that to, what can I accomplish in the time I have, right? So instead of saying like, I can't finish anything, switch that to, what can I accomplish? So I know I have an hour and I need to do meal prep for this week. What part of my meal prepping can I do with an hour? I'm not going to be able to get it all done, but I can get part of it done, right? So that is a shift that you need to make, okay? That's the next shift you need to make. The third belief here is, my family or my work or both, right, needs me all the time. I can't be productive. My family and my work needs me all the time. If this is something you struggle with, right? I find that people come to rely on you the more that you allow yourself to be available without limits and boundaries. With small children, I will say, if you are a mother with small children, I know that you don't get to really set limits with them, right? But you can create systems of responsibility that ensure that your children are being cared for by someone other than you, so that you can dedicate time to your priorities. So yes, you can't turn your little kids off. You can't turn them off. You can't tell them, oh, I'm sorry, mommy's done mommying today. But you can get your partner in to help. You can ask someone to babysit. You can arrange for childcare. You can arrange for your child to go to an activity, right? So that you have time to do the things that you need to do, right? In most other situations, though, outside of being a mommy to small kids, right? I think in both family and in work, right? Communicating your needs and goals is essential to involving the key people in your life with supporting you so that you can do your best work, including work for them. So I know many women get into this supermom mentality where they feel like they need to do and take care of everything, and they do it all in their head, never sharing their plans with others, right? And they never ask for help. This is a harmful mindset to get into. It's unproductive and it's counterintuitive to getting things done effectively in both your personal and your work life. So if you are someone who is saying to themselves, my work, my family, they need me all the time, number one, I want to remind you that in most scenarios, you are allowing yourself to be available without limits and boundaries. And number two, you could always be creating systems, right? To have other people help you. So delegating things to other people, right? Putting limits on things that are going on. Your kids are always interrupting you at home because they need help with this, that, or the other thing. They've got questions, and you're going to say to them, children that are not small children, right? Mommy is working on a project for the next 2 hours. I'm gonna talk to your dad, and you're gonna go to him for the next 2 hours, and my door's gonna be shut. And once my door's open, you can come talk to me again. But until then, I have to focus on what I'm focusing on. Then you talk to your partner or your husband, whatever, and you say, hey, husband, partner, I need to work on something for the next 2 hours. The kids are interrupting me. I need you to take point on that. So I've told them to come to you, right? Bada bing, bada boom. You've created a really simple system of by communicating that gives you the time that you need to work on your things. And I know some people will be like, well, what if I'm doing this and my partner isn't home yet? They're at work. Okay, so then you're going to then need to be the point person until that person comes home from work and can take over responsibility for you. That's the thing. Sometimes we try to we're juggling too much at one time. So some of these things need to be put down until you can get the help that you need, right? You can't just expect that you're going to be able to solve every problem in every instance. Sometimes you have to wait, a certain time, which means that maybe you work on this project after your spouse comes home, or you arrange for a babysitter or something else, or for them to go to somebody else's house, whatever it is, right? At work, people come to you. They're like, oh, hey, I have a really need help with this thing, and you're the best person to do it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, you know what? I am working on this really important presentation for my boss. I'm not going to be able to help you until later today. I'm not going to be able to help you until tomorrow. Can you find someone else, or can you wait, right? communicating to people and setting boundaries, not just automatically saying yes, is going to help you to actually carve out that focus time that you need to get things done. Okay? So let go of that supermom mentality. Let go of the I'm the best person to do it mentality. Let go of the control, because we all know it really is a manifestation of you needing to be in control. Step back from allowing yourself to be available 24/7. There's a difference between being available 24/7 for emergencies and high priority items and letting yourself just be walked over for everything, right? There's differences, right? Make sure you communicate to other people, get the help and the systems that you need, right? Delegate to other people so that you do not have to feel like you are on all the time for others and don't have enough time for yourself. So the next time you feel like saying my work or my family needs me all the time so I can't do my own goals, I want you to change it to I trust my family or my work, right, to run smoothly without my constant attention, because that's really the belief that you need to have. If you are the kind of person who is allowing yourself to be available for more than just high priority, high emergency things, right? You are allowing people to take that time and attention from you. Sorry to say it this way, but it's you. You're the problem, right? So, and that's because you feel like you need to be in control. You need to be involved if you don't trust other people to do things. So start trusting your family, your work to run smoothly without your constant attention. Yes, I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups along the way. In the beginning is that they learn to use this trust that you're giving to them. There's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be some problems. There might be some messes you need to clean up later. But over time, they are going to learn to be self-sufficient and they're going to be worthy of the trust that you give them, right? So switch from my family work needs me all the time to I trust my family or my work to run smoothly without my constant attention. Next, I'm too tired to be productive. Who has this one? I'm too tired to do things. I'm too tired to be productive. This is limiting belief number 4. So to overcome this limiting belief, you need to prioritize self-care and to ensure that you have the energy to focus to get things done when those quick pockets of time come up that you can act on. This means establishing a consistent routine for eating, incorporating breaks, and getting proper sleep. If you are consistently tired when you get home from work and you find that you end up wasting the evening watching TV and avoiding tasks, you may find that taking a quick nap after work rejuvenates you so that you have the energy to make a more productive use of your evening, right? So remember, sometimes the most productive thing you can do for yourself is to rest. How many of you actually sleep and wake up at the same time every day and take your meals at the same time every day and take your breaks at the same time every day? I would say that there's probably none of you. None of you do it the same time every day. Okay? You challenge me in the comments. If you think it's you, you're amazing. You're a unicorn. Okay? It's totally normal in this day and age, this world we live in, that our sleep schedules vary. The time that we have to go to have our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner might vary. Or maybe you have dinner every day at the same time, but like your lunches are all over the place. You don't necessarily have breakfast. You're not taking consistent breaks. That's why you are tired, okay? We understand conceptually that our phones, right, these things that stay in our pockets, we can use them, and the battery drains. And we have to replug them back in so the battery gets filled up again, okay? We understand that. We have all this tech that we use that we're totally okay with recharging. You have to think of yourself as the same battery, having the same, not exactly the same as an iPhone, but you have the same sort of system in you. So if you're not doing consistent things to re-energize yourself, if you're not sleeping, keeping your sleep consistent, if you're not eating meals consistently, if you're like that person who works through lunch, and so maybe, you work through lunch in the afternoon because you think you're being more productive by working through lunch and taking no breaks, and then you crash, and then you starve, and then you have to swing by the Burger King on the way home, or you eat a bunch of food from the vending machine, or raid the candy cupboard, right? Just to eat something. This is a sign that you are not giving yourself a consistent cycle of energy replenishment, refillment, right? You're not charging yourself. And then you are overly working your batteries, right? And so that you're overly draining them, right? And that's why you're tired, right? So you need to get more consistent with feeding yourself, with sleeping, with taking breaks. I understand we think that I have so much to do, I can't take a break. Guess what? If you take a break for a few minutes before you get exhausted, before you completely crash out, right? You can take a break for maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, right? And then your battery is going to be so recharged, right? That you're going to have way more energy now and you'll do better work and you won't crash out versus working through and working through and working through and then you crash and then you're totally out. That reminds me of these headphones I have. These headphones are wonderful that I have. They have like 30 or something hours of battery life. They're like Bluetooth. I'm not selling you these headphones. I'm just like thinking about them because they're right here. They have, maybe it takes a couple of hours for them to fully recharge, but they have this wonderful feature where if I plug it in for 15 minutes, it like actually charges like, I don't know, I think it gives you like 10 to 15 hours in like 15 minutes. So it like gives you, it recharges like at least a third of the battery in 15 minutes, but then the full battery takes maybe like a few hours to charge. So it's like, isn't that amazing? Like think about that next time you want to go take a break. A 15-minute break before you run out of juice, right, can recharge you a whole big amount, right? Like a whole big, whatever, a whole bunch of ampage or whatever it is, so that you don't need to be resting for hours and hours and hours. Whereas if you wait until you crash out, then you're done. Like if I wait till this is completely empty, yeah, I can recharge it for 15 minutes and it'll work. But, to fill it back up completely takes much longer than just like to fill it up a little bit takes 15 minutes. It's crazy. I don't know how that works, but that's like a fast charging element. But I think our bodies are kind of similar to that, right? If you need to take breaks during the day, you're going to end up doing more work, better work, clearer work. You're going to have more energy. This is why I'm a major proponent of take a nap if you're tired and you're not at work. You know what I mean? Take a nap when you're tired. If you have the ability to do that, take a nap. 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of a nap is going to give you a whole refresh so you're not wasting the rest of the night, okay? So the next time you say, I'm too tired to be productive, you need to switch to, I can go slow and still achieve it all, okay? Because that is the truth. You can take it slow and steady. You can take breaks, right? And you can still get it all done. We tend to think that if I want to get everything done really fast, I have to work really, really hard and not stop. But that ends up draining your battery faster. Another analogy I always make with this is our cars, right? And I'm not sure, like, is this an all cars thing? I don't know. I'm going to assume it's all cars. They say that there is, like with our vehicles, there's a sweet spot for like what miles per hour you should be driving, where it like optimizes your fuel consumption. But if you're like going above that, like you're working really, like you're trying to go even faster, that burns much more fuel just to go faster. So sometimes taking it slower and steadier, right? Taking the breaks that you need, resting before you get exhausted, right? Is going to be the way that you actually achieve it all. And I will tell you, there have been times where I thought that like, oh my God, I have to get something done and I have to get it done in a few hours, but I'm really tired. And I told myself, you know what? I'm just going to let myself rest. Just go ahead and rest. And I came back and I got the thing done like way sooner than I expected, even with the nap, right? Because I had more energy, because I was able to focus. We've all been in that zombie mode when you're overtired and you turn into a zombie and like people are asking you questions and you're making mistakes and you're sitting at your computer and you're like, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do? And you're wasting time. Just go take the nap. Just go eat something, right? Listen to your body. I can go slow and still achieve it all, okay? Next is, I should be able to do more. How many of you guys say that to yourselves? I should be able to do more, right? Limiting belief number 5. I can't tell you how many women in my community are pushing themselves to do more when they are already incredibly productive and holding themselves to some impossible standard. If you are one of these women who have multiple priorities and you're constantly on your feet taking action, you are already incredibly productive and you know you can't possibly do more, even though you feel like you should. There is a limit to the level of productivity that we can reach from taking action ourselves. And once you have hit the limit for the number of things that you can fit in your day, productivity then becomes about instituting systems that automate certain actions and making hard decisions that simplify aspects of your life. Things like weekly or monthly meal prepping, setting up auto pay on bills, getting grocery delivery instead of going out for it yourself, online shopping, auto shipments from places like Amazon, right? These are systems that you can use to give yourself back time, okay? Things like asking for help, delegating to others, deleting tasks, or opting out of obligations are decisions that you can make to simplify your life and adjust how you are spending your time. So the next time you think that you should be able to do more, understand that you are already incredibly productive. This is the number one productivity problem that women in my community have. They think they should be able to do more. They hold themselves to this high standard. They're running themselves ragged. They're saying yes to everything. They're depleting their batteries faster. They have a hard time saying no, and they still think they're failing. They're still judging themselves. They're still being hard on themselves. You guys, ladies, think about this. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, okay? What did people get done in a day, right? Most people, you probably drive to work. If you drive to work or you go out and run errands, right, in your town, you probably travel further in one day, even though you're driving in your car, further in one day than like the average human ever traveled, like in the whole of their life a few hundred years ago. You know what I mean? Like, the things that we do in a day are phenomenal. Like women, right, who have children. If you're a woman if you're a woman who has children, you know, like 100 years ago, not just 50. 50 is probably like, it was more modern still. So like 100 years ago, your day would have been like mostly taking care of your kids, maybe cleaning a few things up, maybe prepping a few food things. Because remember, like 100 years ago, it took forever to like cook anything because you're doing everything from like full on scratch. Yeah. And like you do that plus 10 times more, like plus you have a business, plus you have your hobbies, plus you have your friends, like plus you're taking all Zoom calls all day long. Like we do so much more now than we've ever done before. Take a load off. Stop saying yes to everything. I know you feel like opportunities are just like, if you don't say yes, you're going to miss out or you're going to disappoint people or whatever. Let me tell you, life is long. Life is long. We have so much time to be able to fit things in. You do not need to overfit your schedule. You do not need to set some impossibly high standard, right? For yourself, you are already super duper productive. You can just tweak it, right? With some systems, with some hard decisions, right? So instead of saying I should be able to do more, I want you to say I am enough. My work and effort are enough, because that is the truth. You are enough. You are doing enough. You're doing enough work. You're putting in enough effort. You are putting in so much more effort than the typical person did 50, 100 years ago. I know that for sure, even 50 years ago, because you know what? Even women who worked 50 years ago, expectations at work, it's like, I know if you have a job, you are actually doing the job that like 50 years ago, there was probably like 2 or 3 people doing it and you were doing it. Right? You're doing it all yourself, right? So you are doing way more than humans have ever been expected to in the history of the world. You are enough. Your work and your effort are enough. Okay, next is I'm overwhelmed by my responsibilities. So this is limiting belief number 6. If you are overwhelmed by your current responsibilities and you want to overcome this limiting belief, you will need to rely on these 4 key time management and organization principles. Number 1 is to prioritize. So get clear on what is important for you to be spending your time on and what is not. If you are overwhelmed right now, you aren't getting it all done. Let's be honest. If you're overwhelmed right now, I know you're not getting it all done. That to-do list runs over. You have things left on the to-do list every single day, right? And so if you are not prioritizing your tasks that you're doing on that list, that means that some very important items are not getting done each day. And I think it's better to prioritize and ensure those important items get completed at the expense of less important items, because this is what ends up happening is how many of you have ever been in a situation you've been in a fire, okay? You had to do a fire drill, not an actual fire, but metaphorically, you had some work that was due last week, last month, you totally forgot about, or you didn't get it done in time. And now you have to rush, hustle to put the fire out because it's caused an issue, right? This is because you did not prioritize your tasks, right? You maybe worked on some lesser important things. And I know these things happen, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell priority. This is why priority is kind of like a muscle you have to start using and you grow it, right? But when you start prioritizing, more of the important things get done. And then the things that you aren't getting done in the day, right, are lesser important things, right, that aren't going to cause as many issues. That's one way to kick out overwhelm, right? Choose and understand, identify what the priorities are and focus on those. Don't focus on everything, focus on the priorities. Next is to schedule. So create a schedule for your ideal daily routine and your ideal weekly schedule, where you can create blocks of time to work on specific categories of tasks and even begin scheduling in key tasks in your calendar to ensure that you have the time and space to complete them. We are going to do that in today's class, so get excited, okay? Next is delegate. So assign less important tasks to others or find a better person to get the work done if you can't get it done. And delete. Intentionally take things off of your to-do list, right? Intentionally remove them because they're not as important, they're not as urgent, they're not something you need to be worrying about right now. Delete them. Delete, okay? This is, if you are overwhelmed with your responsibilities, this is the process to follow. And the next time you want to say, I'm overwhelmed by my responsibilities, I want you to reprogram that, delete, rewind, and record over it. I prioritize what's important so it always gets done. I prioritize what's important so it always gets done. That is the truth, right? Go from being overwhelmed, right, to prioritizing, and things will get done. Next is my goals aren't important enough. Have you ever said that to yourself? So if you believe that your goals aren't an important priority, this isn't solved by simple strategy, but by connecting with your values to determine if you've set the right goals for the right reasons. If your goals don't excite you or feel important enough to you, they may be the wrong goals to set, right? So I want you to take some time to journal on the following prompts to decide if your goals are really a priority for your life. Prompt number 1 is, what do you value in life and where do your existing goals fit into this picture? If your current goals don't align with your values, perhaps they're the wrong goals to set. Prompt 2, how will completing these goals impact your life and or the lives of others in the next year, the next 5 years, and the next 10 years? If your goals won't make much of a difference to your life over time, perhaps they're not truly valuable goals to set. And prompt number 3 is projecting your consciousness to the end of your life. Do you think you'll regret not going after these goals when you had the opportunity to do so? Again, if your life would feel complete without these goals, they may be unnecessary. So this is the thing I see women do all the time. They say their goals aren't important enough. They say they don't really, have time for their goals. They're not prioritizing. They have a hard time really getting it up energetically for their goals, right? And when we walk through what their goals are and what that means to them, we identify that they have just set goals arbitrarily, okay? And we're going to be tackling that today. I'm going to give you guys a system today for setting goals that are actually meaningful for you so that you actually do feel motivated to get them done. But let me tell you, with all of the content out there on goal setting, on planning, and things like that, there are people out there, there are a number of different goal setting methodologies. Many of them, I believe, get it wrong when it comes to goal setting. They help people to set goals, but they help people to set goals that aren't really important to them. They help people to set goals that they see other people setting, and so they want to copy that, right? And think that's the goal I should be setting. If that person's goal is to do this, then it's going to be my goal to do this as well, right? There's this principle in philosophy, or maybe in psychology, mimetic theory, which is that people, animals, all different things, we only want things when we see other people want them. It's an interesting thing. So it's a real phenomenon. So perhaps your goals aren't important enough because they're not important to you, right? And that's why you're not spending time on them. That's why you're not prioritizing them. I believe that your goals should be tied to a very strong why, and that when they are tied to a strong enough why, you feel a pull to actually get them done. It doesn't feel like necessarily a chore all the time. Sometimes your goals will feel like a chore, but at least you feel deeply connected to them so that you understand why you're doing them and why they're important and why they're urgent, and you're more likely to follow through with them, okay? So the next time you say my goals aren't important enough, I want you to shift that to my goals are part of my life's work. Because once you discover and uncover the goals that you actually truly really want to go after and the things that are really going to make your life the way that you want to live it and get you excited to wake up every morning going after them, you're going to understand that your goals are part of your life's work. Okay? So switch your mindset there from my goals aren't important enough to my goals are part of my life's work. Next is I've tried before and I've failed. How many people have said that? I'm not going to bother trying again. I've tried before and I failed. So to overcome this limiting belief, it's important to understand that setbacks are a natural part of the journey of life. Failure doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot achieve a goal. Instead, it can be an important experience to help us learn, grow, and adapt our strategy. I want you guys to ask yourselves, and I want you to actually say this to me in the comments, okay? I want you to put a 1 in the comments if you've ever tried at something in the past and failed, okay? So that's me. I'm putting a 1 in the comments, okay? You've tried something before and you failed. 1 in the comments, okay? I want you to put a 2 in the comments if you've ever tried at something in the past and failed, and then you tried again and you failed again. Okay? That's a 2. I got that one too. So I'm gonna raise my hand for that one as well. And I want you to put a 3 in the comments, okay? If you have ever tried at something in the past, failed, and then tried again, and then you succeeded, okay? That's also me, okay? So if you say that all 3 of these, if I get a bunch of 3s in this comments, right? You know that the mindset and determination, your mindset and determination are a factor in success. And sometimes it's part of the process to fail, sometimes multiple times before we finally get it right. The most important things in life are worth the effort though, right? Anytime I've ever failed at something that I really wanted, and I'm like, I'm gotta go after it again, I have learned something. And I'm like, okay, so I know this was the issue last time. I'm gonna make a new plan that accounts for this. And maybe I've done it again, and maybe I've failed again, okay? But every time I learn something, that doesn't mean I stop going after the goal. I actually don't even think like failure is actually failure the way we're using it in this context. I think failure is when you're like, you just give up and you don't do anything. Failure is like not acting at all, not trying and not getting it, right? Because I don't like that we call that failure. Trying and not getting it, I don't think that's failure, right? I think that's an amazing success. And I mean, it's not as good as getting the thing. But then trying again after failure, that's like bravery, courage. You know, that's like having balls, you know, ladies. And then doing it again and failing and doing it again and then succeeding, that is a breakthrough. That is learning and growing. And that is a human being with determination and grit and gusto and all that jazz. So I know that all of us have had all 3 of these. I know there are, right? So the next time you think that you shouldn't be trying again because you failed before, you have to remember that that is just part of the process. Not getting it after trying some effort, right, is not a failure. It is just part of the process. So next time you want to say I've tried before and failed, I want you to say I've learned from the past. So this time things will be different, right? Things will be different. What is the quote? You never cross the same river twice. Things are always different when you've tried in the past. Whether or not you achieved your goal, you've learned more from the experience. And as long as you integrate that knowledge into your new plan, things will be different. Okay? Next, last, final mindset shift. I'm alone in this. I'm alone. There's no one to help me. I'm alone. You are never alone. And I know that you know this on like a logical level, right? But often we can feel alone when we have gotten into the habit of doing things ourselves so we don't need to rely on others, right? I'm really guilty of this. Anyone else in there like a oldest daughter in a family who had a lot of expectations thrown on her and also anytime she had a problem, she had to figure it out herself? Because her problems were considered to be, inconvenient to her caregivers. And so she just learned to do it all herself, no matter what. Like, I'm the only one I can rely on. Anyone else? Put a thumbs up in the comments if that's you, right? Another oldest daughter who just learned that although she is surrounded by people, she is alone mentally in carrying the load for herself. Now, I understand this, like I'm saying, as good as any of you do, okay? But the truth is that we know that we are never alone. So if you have felt like you've had to do it alone in the past, and so you never asked for help, and then of course, right, that caused you to be separated from the support that is available to those who seek it, right? Like there's this quote I love in Harry Potter when Dumbledore says, like, Harry Potter, hope will always be given to those who ask for it, right? A lot of times because of the way we grew up, thinking that, yes, we had to be the stronger one, right? We thought we had to do it alone because anytime we brought it to somebody else, it was a problem. We're like, I don't want to cause a problem for them, so I'm just going to do it alone. We caused the separation. It's us. It was them. It is them. And it was also us. Okay? So you are not alone in that, right? And we have to understand, though, that we were the ones that weren't reaching out for help, and we were the ones keeping ourselves isolated. At any time, you have the option to reach out to friends, to family for support. And maybe you don't have all of those things in your life, but you have to have some of them. I know you do. Or to utilize the help of people like a mentor, like me, or an accountability group of like-minded women who can help to keep you motivated. Now, right now, enrollment is open for the Charm Life Mastermind. We're going to talk about this at the end of the class today, that I've got a little promotion for you guys for this month for the mastermind. That is my personal development and accountability community, the Charm Life Mastermind. If you've never heard of it, it is filled with women who are like you. They're learning how to balance their lives and achieve their goals and bring their dream life to fruition. And if you stick with me to the end today, we're going to talk more about the great resources and the classes that we have coming up inside of the mastermind, right? So just understand that there is always help available to you somewhere. Yes, maybe maybe you don't have a great family that you can rely on, right? Maybe you don't feel like you have a friends that you can rely on, right? There are people out there though, and systems out there set up to help you, right? In a lot of different areas of your life, okay? I'm seeing so many thumbs up. That's amazing. I'm so happy that I'm not alone too. And let me tell you, I created the mastermind, right? Because I wanted help. Like I wanted people and I didn't feel like I had people. And that's why I created it, right? Oldest daughter to oldest daughters here. I created the thing that I realized was missing in my life was the community of people that were like me. And so I had to create it so that we could all be together, right? And we could all do this wonderful productivity work together and share what we learned, because I didn't really have the people in my life who were already like this. I didn't feel like I was someone, actually, I'm the kind of person with the way I was raised, I felt like I could rely on sometimes strangers more than I could rely on people that actually like knew me personally, like family and things like that. So yeah, if that's you, you were in the right place. So the next time you want to say, I'm alone in this, I want you to switch that to, always have support when I have the courage to ask for it, right? Because that's the truth. When you have the courage to ask for it, to go out there and get that support that you need, it's available to you. Okay, so that was part 1, our mindset work. Let me know right now, ladies, how you felt about the mindset. Let's take a little break. Let's have a little sippy of our coffees. Tanya says, I love the mastermind. The mastermind loves you, Tanya. Okay, so part 2 is the simplified goal setting system. As I said, I was going to show you guys how to set goals so that they're actually meaningful to you and that you actually want to get up and get them done. So let's talk about choosing Q4 targets. The key to making major progress in Q4 is to choose only a few very specific goals to put your energy behind. If you try to put your focus, your energy, and your time into too many buckets, you risk sacrificing the ability to reach some key goals all because you couldn't limit yourself. We all kind of know that analogy, right? Like where you try to pick it all up, you're taking it all, trying to carry it all, and because you're carrying one too many things, you drop it all and then you lose it all, right? That is why we have to get very strategic about what we are going to choose to work on in Q4. Right? So we have to learn to limit ourselves in order to get some things done. Okay? So if you've set annual goals for the year, whatever hasn't come to fruition thus far needs to be examined to determine what is crucial to make progress on and what can be let go of for now. Oh, sorry, you guys. Hopefully you didn't hear that. I had to cough, so I muted myself. Okay. So we are going to choose our Q4 targets. Okay. I want you to think about choosing your Q4 targets like you're going out for dinner. Okay. You may order a few different items. You may order a drink, an appetizer, a main course, a side dish, and a dessert. You may have ordered 5 items, but they were of varying size and they were all served at different times, right? So that the meal built up into a delicious multi-course experience. You wouldn't order 5 main courses that all came out at once, right? If you did, you would likely get full after 1 or maybe 2 of the mains and then not be able to finish the rest. Or if you were really ambitious, you may try to eat it all and then get sick, okay? So a lot of people make themselves sick by trying to fit it all in during Q4. This leads to overwhelm, burnout, and ultimately a lot of failure, when the better course of action would have been to strategically choose items that build a multi-course meal that you could actually enjoy. So the first part of building this multi-course meal of delicious goals, right, is to define your priorities. So this is step 1 of the simplified goal setting system I'm going to teach you guys. Before you can choose the goals that you want to achieve in Q4, you need to get specific about your priorities. These will guide you in choosing the right goals to spend your time on. Now, I want you guys to forget about what you think the term priority means. If you've never heard me talk about priorities, I'm going to teach you my definition of priorities right now, and that's the definition we're going to need to use for the rest of this class, okay? Priorities are the people, places, and institutions that matter to you. They're what I like to call uppercase P priorities, proper nouns, right? Meaning that grammatically you would uppercase the name of this priority, right? So you guys all know about English, hopefully. If you're listening to me, you must speak English enough. And part of that in English grammar is when you have a proper noun, a person, a place, an institution, the name of it gets uppercased, right? So an example of this would be like your name. My name's Alexis. I uppercase the A, right? Perhaps you have a partner or a spouse. We're going to call mine Mr. Trenchcoat for right now, but I bet you your partner, we uppercase their name, don't we? You have children, perhaps for children, human children. I have one. His name is Sully, uppercase, right? You have a place of work, perhaps. I work at a place called Charmed Media Enterprises. That's the name of my business, technically. You uppercase the name of your business. You have a home, 123 Charmed Place is where I live. Of course, that's not my real address, but you know what I'm talking about. You uppercase that, right? You have a financial institution. You have a school that you belong to, perhaps, or you go to school if you're a student. You have a religious institution, perhaps. You have another key institution in your life that you're involved with, community food bank, etc., right? These are uppercase P, proper nouns. They are priorities, okay? Common mistakes that people make when setting their priorities. This is where my goal setting method differs from other goal setting methods that I think cause people to set the wrong goals. Priorities are not categories, okay? I know with other goal setting methodologies, they give you categories to set your goals in. So health, spirituality, career. These are general categories. You can set goals for these types of categories in your life, but they must be tied to a specific priority. So to determine the proper priority, I think it helps if you actually list out your intention for that goal in a complete sentence. So you could say something like, this year, I want to improve my health. Okay? Or I want to set a goal that helps me improve my connection to my family, or to my faith, I'm sorry. I want to get a better job this year. I and my indicate that the common priority here is you. You are always priority number one. Without you, none of your goals get done. Nothing really matters. As we like to say with that airline analogy, when they're telling you when you're taking off and they do the flight safety, you need to secure your own oxygen mask first before helping others with theirs, right? So you are always priority number one, right? But your health isn't a priority in the way I'm speaking of priorities right now, right? It doesn't mean you won't set a goal for your health. It's just that health itself, that category, is not the priority. You are the priority, right? And you will set a goal for your health, right? You want to improve your connection to your faith. Your spirituality, your faith is not the priority. You're the priority, and the goal you'll set is about how you want to express and deepen your faith and your spirituality, right? You want to get a better job this year? Okay? Career is not a priority, but you could be the priority. Your place of work could be the priority, right? So you have to understand there's a difference between the categories and the priorities. Next, we are going to choose 1 to 5 priorities, and we're going to put them in order of importance. You are number one priority. Everything else comes after you. I'm going to go ahead real quick. We're going to set a timer. Maybe I'll put a little music on. You guys want a little lo-fi in the background? Where's my timer? I'm going to give us 3 minutes for this. Okay? 3 minutes. A little music. Okay. Hopefully you guys will hear that soon. Oh, no. Sorry, my sound effects were low. Okay. I want you to write down 1 to 5 priorities. Now, number 1, take your name. Okay? For number 1, you're going to take your name. And you're going to write that. You're going to put number 1, your name. And you're going to say number 2, who is the next person, place, institution that you want to, that you consider a priority in your life. Okay? If you have a spouse, it might be a spouse or a partner. If you have children, it might be your children. If you have multiple children, it's not necessary for you to put them all individually. You could just kind of put their names as one priority, right? Because I would guess that you don't have a favorite, right? You don't have a favorite. So, You're going to write their names down. All equally loved in your eyes. If you have a place that you work, and that might be a priority for you. If you have a business that you're trying to build, maybe it hasn't been built yet. Maybe it's something you're starting to do, right? I want you to kind of give it a name, right? Don't just say like, side hustle or whatever. Give it kind of like a name, right? Because it is something you're working towards. It's something that's going to be a priority, and it won't become real if you don't name it. So let's put a name into that. If you're someone who's involved with maybe a religious institution, a local community thing, some other like hobby project that you do. I'm going to say that very tentatively because your individual hobby is like reading is not a priority, right? The way you would set a goal for reading is your priority would be you're the one reading the books. And then you could set a goal for like however many books you wanted to read, right? Unless that reading had something to do with school, right? Maybe you're a student and you want to set a goal for reading because you've got maybe a reading heavy major, then your priority would be your school, your alma mater name, and then maybe one of the goals would have to do with you maybe regularly reading or studying, etc. There's a lot of different ways we can frame goals once we look at them through the lens of priorities. Priorities being actual things that you can point to, right? Your banking institution, if you're someone who's trying to like grow your wealth, your banking institution, your bank accounts, your 401k, things like that, your investment accounts, those are the priority. But we're picking 5. Up to 5. You don't have to have all 5. Okay. So that was our 3 minutes. Hopefully you guys have written down. Let me turn off the music for now. Well, I'm just going to lower it for now and just let it go in the back. You cannot have 6. I said 5. I said 5. You're going to have 5. Trust me, this is going to go a little bit further. 5 is the limit right now. Okay. Now, step 2 of the simplified goal setting system, right? Once you've clearly identified your 1 to 5 priorities, you can now set goals for them. So in some goal setting methodologies, they give you those like general life categories to set your goals against. However, I find this structure lacks integrity because it can cause you to set too many goals that don't matter just to check a box. And because categories are vague concepts in comparison to the actual people, places, institutions, people in your life, the real uppercase P priorities, you often don't have a strong enough why to complete your goals. In my goal setting methodology, you can set 1 to 3 goals per priority. When we're doing my full methodology, we're not doing my full methodology right now, okay? Spoiler alert. I like to think of goals as a change, an improvement, or a standard that I want to set in my life. So a change could be a shift that you want to make from X to Y. So spend less time on social media and use that time more productively, right? An improvement is some upgrade or increase. Save and invest $7,000 into my IRA. A standard is a boundary or level of quality or attainment to establish. This year, I set a goal to reach a certain weight range and to maintain it. That is a standard that I'm trying to set for myself in my life. Those are what our goals are, okay? So for this next activity, in which I'm going to give us some time and I'm going to put the music back up. Wait, where did I put the music? Audio. There you are. We are going to list 1 goal per priority. And if you can't think of a goal for the priority, then don't list it, right? 1 goal per priority. And I'll give us 5 minutes to do this. What is a change that you want to make in this area of your priority? What is an improvement, an upgrade, an increase that you want to happen in this area of your life priority? What is a new standard that you want to set for yourself in this priority in your life? If one of your priorities was your children, perhaps one of the goals is related to family time, right? Maybe you want to establish regular family time. Maybe you just want to make sure that everybody has dinner together at least 3 days a week. Everyone has crazy schedules. I want at least 3 family dinners a week. These are goals that we could set for that priority. Maybe the goal for you Maybe something you want to do is you want to become someone who reads more, right? You want to be more of a reader. So you want to say, I want to read 5 books in Q4. Remember, because we're talking about Q4 right now. So I want to read 5 books in Q4. That is a goal that you can set for yourself, right? Maybe you work at a company and you'd really like to get a raise by the end of the year. That's something you could put down your company's name, and you could say like you'd like to get a raise or a new job opportunity at your company. They love the lo-fi music, Carol. You know, it's so funny. I'm going to tell you this music. This is AI generated. YouTube has an AI like a AI music generator, and I made this so that I could, because I always need like a music that's, what is it called? Licensed, not unlicensed music. It's so crazy. I call this my lo-fi classical. My glasses are from, hold on. I have to look it up. Okay, my glasses are from a company online called Vooglam, Vooglam, and they are the style called the Libby, and it comes in lots of different colors. This is like the light tortoise. Let me see if I can get the name of them. If I just found the link to it. There's multiple tortoises. Find the one that is mine. The one that's mine always sells out, by the way. You got to get it when you see it. I think they're just calling it tortoise, but keep an eye, like just make sure you're paying attention, because I thought it was called light tortoise or cream tortoise. You could also have sunglasses made. Maybe not sunglasses made with this. I think these would make really pretty sunglasses too. Oh, goodness. Okay. Sorry. We're out of time. Many apologies. Okay. So, if you're inside of the mastermind, I'll go ahead and give you guys the slides for sure if you want them. And I will also put in how I made the music in Slack. It was so easy though. But yeah, I can give you guys like a little tutorial or whatnot for that in Slack if you are in the mastermind. No problem, ladies. Okay. So, next, we're going to prioritize your selection. So, step 3 of the simplified goal setting process. At this point, you should have your 1 to 5 priorities and anywhere from 1 to 5 goals connected to each of them. Now it's time to prioritize these goals. So, I want you to choose your top 3 goals, things you very much want to achieve in Q4 and believe that you can achieve in this time frame, right? If you're like one of the goals was something you're like, you know what, it really isn't a quarterly goal, it might be something I need to save till next year, then save it to next year, okay? Because it is goal setting season is around the corner. We're only a few months away from setting annual goals. But I want you to choose things that you really feel like you could get done. Even it might be a little bit of a stretch, you feel like you could get done and it would be meaningful, and it's important for these things to get done first. Remember, this doesn't mean that you'll never go after the other goals, right? It just means that you need to be intentional and realistic so that you can establish balance for yourself in the season. I know earlier when we were talking about setting the priorities, someone asked if you could have 6. And I'm like, no, just let's stick with 5 because 5 is what I said. And it's like, look at us already trying to like negotiate more into our schedules. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that we can't have other priorities, right? It doesn't mean that, next year our priorities might be different. But right now for this quarter, what were your priorities? Right now for this quarter, what are the 3 most important goals for you to put your time and attention into? So if you want to have a full social and personal life in Q4, and you want to make memories, and you want to enjoy every bit of the seasonal goodness that comes with the final months of the year, this is why we have to be intentional in choosing these items. I want you to have the time and space to take care of yourself and to treat yourself like the high-value woman that you are, the well-planned and productive woman that I know you can be. Deserving and valuable and a wonderful human on this planet. And I want you to be able to hit all of the goals that you set for yourself. 90 days is plenty of time to achieve a goal, or 2 or 3, but not 5 or 10. Now, not if we want the previous 2 statements to also come to fruition as well, right? So that is why we're intentionally choosing 3, okay? Now, if you get one of the goals in like a month, for sure go back to this list and add another one on. Go ahead, do it. But I would make sure that they're 1, 2, 3 in order of when you want to get them done. Like I want this one the most, I want this one next, and then this one, right? So we're going to go ahead and identify 1 to 3 goals from that list to prioritize for Q4. I'm going to put our sound effects up. Okay, so that was the timer there. Hopefully you've been able to identify the 1 to 3 goals that you want to prioritize for Q4. Okay. Okay, so getting strategic with your objectives. Step 4 of this process. Okay. So you defined your 1 to 5 priorities and you chose the 1 to 3 goals that you want to set for Q4 from among a bigger list. The final step of this process is to decide how you will bring the goals to fruition. Goals are generally a little vague. They are what you want to accomplish, and objectives are how you want to make them happen. So objectives can take 3 forms. They can be a project, a system, or a habit. So a project is a step-by-step plan of action that you do once and your outcome is reached. A system is a step-by-step plan of action that you do repeatedly to achieve or maintain an outcome. And a habit is a single action you take repeatedly to achieve or maintain an outcome. So now we need to brainstorm all the ways that you could make each goal a reality. So I'm going to give us 5 minutes here to brainstorm our objectives, right? So for each goal, how will you make the goal happen? Make sure to identify if the objective is a project, a system, or a habit. There are more, it looks like more viewers right now than likes on this video. So if you're enjoying this stream so far, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to hit the share button and you can share this stream as a post on your feed. You can share the link on social media and other places. You can invite some other people to come see this. Remember, there is going to be a replay. So feel free to share the video with other people that you think would find it helpful. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten some objectives brainstormed so you know how you are going to make the goal happen. Very important part of this process. That is the goal setting system. Okay? So if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm kind of answering questions as we go. Some questions I'm kind of calling out if I feel like they apply to everyone. Make sure you guys to check if you're here live, check the comments because some people have asked me questions and I'm talking to some people back and forth and some people haven't responded yet. So I just want to make sure it's not like a delay thing that people see my questions back to you guys if it's like more specific. Okay, next we're going to be moving on to part 3, master planning Q4. So this is your guide to an enjoyable and productive Q4. Now that we know what your goals are for Q4, we can begin to create a plan that builds balance back into your life. The following activities will help you compile and generate plans for the final months of the year and integrate seasonal moments with time spent getting down to business with your goals. So, what are all the expected events that you can think of for Q4? Okay, I'm going to give us a few minutes to kind of just start brain dumping these things. What are all the expected events you can think of for Q4? So, are there holiday gatherings, seasonal events, travel, end of year conferences, campaigns or promotions you need to do for your business, events for your spouse or your partner's work, events for your children, community events, sports events? I want you to list each event and the associated dates and times that you expect you have to spend on these events, okay? Okay, ladies, hopefully you've spent some time brain dumping the expected events that you can think of for Q4. Next, I want you to think about all the fun seasonal activities and memories that you want to make time for in Q4. I'll give us a few minutes for this as well. So that would be things like apple or pumpkin picking. Which farm do you think you want to go to? And have you consulted their schedule to see when they're available? Maybe you need to do family photos and holiday cards. We don't want to forget to book the photographer. Maybe we have some movie nights we want to do. So which movies do you want to watch? Or maybe you want to do some seasonal reading. You want to list the books. I know I already did that. I actually put my fall TBR on Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram at Miss Trenchcoat, you should definitely follow me to get more of the behind the scenes about how I'm spending the season. Maybe you want to do some hiking or camping, right? Are there specific campsites or trails that you want to try? Maybe you like to do some cooking or baking. What are the recipes that you want to make? Maybe you need to go visit friends and family. Who do you want to see and what will you do together? Maybe there's some vacation or travel or exploring. Where do you want to go? Perhaps you have some grave sites to visit for loved ones. Where are they? What will you bring? And we want to list each activity and the frequency or the date that we want to set aside for each as well. Okay, so hopefully you've brain dumped some of the seasonal activities that you want to get done in Q4. Next, we want to see what your ideal weekly schedule looks like in Q4. So the ideal weekly schedule, also sometimes your default weekly schedule, I call this, it's a default schedule that you create for yourself that covers the typical week in your life. So you'll build this schedule by blocking out time for typical recurring items and then you will add in time blocks for specific goal related and seasonal activities, okay? So in order to build this ideal weekly schedule, right? You want to start with your wake and sleep times. What time do you need to wake up in the morning? And in order to get a proper night's rest, what time do you have to go to sleep at night? Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to want to fill in. Then I want you to think about blocking out time for daily routine items, right? So things like your work, right? Perhaps you'll have themed work days, right? Self-care things that you need to make time for, meals that you need to make time for, chores, times for shopping and errands and meal planning and prep, right? Any time for family or connection, focused goal work, and of course the seasonal activities. So I'm going to give us 5 minutes to start working on this, okay? So start with what time you need to wake up in the morning, what time you need to go to sleep at night. What does maybe your evening routine look like? Sometimes working backwards is nice. What does your morning routine need to consist of, right? And we're going to actually do your daily routine as well. So you don't have to go in depth with the daily things, but think about like the typical things you do across the week, right? So you work, this is your work schedule typically, right? Could you theme your work days, right? Actually assign certain tasks to certain days, right? Is there self-care that you'd like to make time for throughout the week? Physical, like, hygiene related, taking baths, things like that, showers. Is there like classes that you like to take? When is your meal times, right? When could you be meal planning and meal prepping? Your chores. Maybe you're someone who does some chores every day. Maybe you're like me and you kind of bulk it and do it like once a week. Your shopping and your errands. When do you go do that typically? Maybe you have to take the kids to specific activities that they do. When does that happen, right? When can you actually build in time to do focused goal work, right? Time blocks for your goals and also for those seasonal activities. So maybe one of the things that for me, it's like I have like my books. I actually have books and video games and things and movies too that I want to watch for the season and like shows. And I kind of have just like time blocks for those in my like weeknights and in my weekends, right? So I've created these recurring blocks that I can then just assign items to, right? And if I want to go out to do like the pumpkin picking or anything like that, that would be like a one-off, but it would probably be done on a weekend. And I know it would be a weekend on a certain weekend, probably more likely a Sunday than a Saturday because I have classes on Saturdays, right? So, there's a structure that you could start building in, right? This default weekly schedule can become like a template for you to use. And this is something that you can use in order to kind of establish consistency across your days and weeks and months, because when we do the same things over and over again consistently, right, that creates like a system, right? We're always kind of doing them repeatedly. And it also helps us to understand and get that feeling, right, that everything that we're doing is adding up. When we don't really have like a consistent schedule to fall back on, we kind of just wing it all the time, and that makes us feel like out of control and like our work isn't actually resulting in anything. We don't feel like we have that consistent like habit built, right? So having a default schedule will help you with that. Okay, so hopefully you've been able to outline a little bit of that weekly schedule, but I do encourage you to kind of keep working on this, because this is a very important document, I think, to have for yourself for this season. It's something that you can always be coming back to this to make adjustments and changes, but it becomes like an asset for my time management as far as I'm concerned, because it helps me to know when I'm doing things. And for any of you out there who feel like, 24 hours is not enough time in the day to get everything done, I encourage you to zoom out of the 24 hours in a day and look at a week. And then you have, 168 hours for an entire week to deal with. And whatever, if you ever felt like, oh, I don't have enough time in a day to get it all done, you definitely have enough time in a week to be able to touch every important aspect of your life and move it forward and keep it organized and managed, right? So don't feel like you have to do it all in a day. You can get it all done over the course of a week. And trust me, the weeks add up just as quickly as the days do, right? So this is something that I highly encourage you to complete in your own time if you haven't done it so far. Next, we are going to formulate your ideal daily routine. So what does your ideal daily routine look like in Q4? So the ideal daily routine is a default schedule that you create for yourself that outlines the perfect day in your life. You will build this routine based off of your ideal weekly schedule and create time slots for specific habits and routines that you want to practice daily. So whereas the weekly schedule, right, was more about time blocks in general, right, where you're dedicating blocks of time to maybe higher concept things, your daily routine, you may want to, it's a little bit more granular. You can get more into the nitty gritty of time slots. Although what I will say is that the time slots are only there to guide you. They're not necessarily something you need to worry about always being on time. I really think of the flow of activities as being more important than necessarily the time, right? Because when you're in flow with your activities and building up these habits, right, that make up your daily routine, it's going to give you a greater sense of control and you're going to move through them quicker and quicker and quicker anyway, right? So when you're creating this ideal daily routine, we want to, again, start with those wake and sleep times. You will want to add in time for things like your mindset work, like movement, like daily planning, like your work blocks. I actually keep my actual work block, like my work routine, in my daily routine, right? Whereas on my weekly schedule, it will say the themed items that I have. My daily routine actually breaks down my work day into the actual time blocks for each of the things that I'm working on, right? So daily planning, your work schedule, learning, any sort of learning that you need to do, daily hygiene and self-care, again, your meals and your cooking and your chores and your family and connection time. And of course, we want to add in time for any goal-related habits that need to be done daily, right? And then any daily seasonal habits. Like I told you guys before, that I am, a few of the seasonal things that I've already started doing. I haven't like completely finished this process yet myself, but one of the things that I've been doing, for example, is every day when I make my coffee, I have like a fall coffee that I bought, and I've been kind of like romanticizing the season. What I do is I put like a whipped cream on it, and then I've got these like fall sprinkles that I've been putting on. I also have like Halloween sprinkles and like spooky sprinkles. And I make myself like this really nice, like, pumpkin-y coffee in the morning, right? And that's like kind of what I consider that like one of the recipes that I want to make. And it's something I do every day. Like I do it every day. And it's just part of my morning routine. Once I've gotten ready for the day and I'm going to sit down to do my work, I will make my coffee. That's like making my coffee is kind of like one of the steps in my workday routine. So, it's there in my schedule. And like I said, after work in the evenings, like after Mr. Trenchcoat comes home and after we've had dinner, I have like time for me to like kind of free time for me to like read, play video games, or if we want to watch like a movie together, right? But I have to get on a schedule with him in terms of like, we need to sit down and be like, what movies do we want to watch on what day? This is all this planning that I have to do, based on this class, right? So that I have some days where I know we're watching movies and some days where I know I can just like read and play a video game. And usually, if you guys have been following me on Instagram, again, Miss Trenchcoat, I've been like sharing like what I've been reading and like the video games I've been playing on my little Switch. So that's an example of that. And on a weekly basis, so far, I have it's part of my like weekend routine. In the mornings when I wake up, I make breakfast for us like every Saturday and Sunday, and it's like always the same breakfast. And of course, like part of it includes pancakes. And I bought these pumpkin pancake mix, and I bought a cinnamon oat pancake mix for us from, I think it's called Kodiak Cakes or whatever. So I've been making This morning I had pumpkin pancakes, right? Last weekend we had the cinnamon ones. I've kind of been like alternating them. So that's like a fun, seasonal vibe sort of thing that I'm doing. And it's kind of like a reoccurring task for me, right? It's something I'm doing like week after week, et cetera, et cetera. So, did I give us time to work on this? I don't think I did. If I didn't give us time, we're doing it now. So work on your daily routine. And the more that you kind of get into the flow of this, I know at first it's going to be hard for you to kind of want to stick to this. You're going to resist it. But if you can just go with the flow and do your best to stick with this, again, the time slots don't matter so much. It's more of the flow of the activities, right? So that if you get lost in your day one day and like your day goes off the rails, you could come back to this routine and be like, okay, what's the next thing I could get started on doing and continue building up this flow of tasks, right? So the more you do these things, the more it's going to start feeling like they're second nature, and it's going to start feeling like your days have like purpose and direction and meaning because you're doing certain things consistently. Now, that doesn't mean that your ideal daily routine should be like minute by minute is planned out. We want to have white space in there too, but this is just like a general flow of activities for you to follow on a daily basis. Okay, so hopefully you've done some work on creating your ideal daily routine, okay? So the ideal daily routine and the default weekly routine, very important documents to have to establish that feeling of control and use that idea of like, you can't get it all done in a day, but you can get it all done in a week, right? You can touch everything and make progress over the weeks. So once you've finished all of these activities, you will assemble your plan by allocating tasks and events into the planner of your choice. So first, I want you to schedule in the events that you know about for the quarter, okay? So remember we had brainstormed those events that you know about. It's okay if you don't know the final time frames for those yet, but I want you to note the items in your planner and block off some expected time. That way, even if dates and times shift, all you're having to do is rearrange plans. You're not trying to fit new plans in from scratch, okay? Next, I want you to put those seasonal activities and memories into your plan. So assign activities to specific weeks, or if you can schedule specific times for activities, that would also be great. Like I said, I'm probably going to make a master movie list, take a calendar out, talk to Mr. Trenchcoat and be like, what are the days we want to watch these movies, right? So that I'll really schedule it out, right? I'm that much of a geek because I feel like that way I know they're going to get done and we have a plan instead of sitting around being like, what are we going to watch, right? How many people do that? What are we going to watch? It's like, we're going to watch this movie tonight, right? So finally, I want you to work in the objectives that are related to your goals. So those items need to fit inside of this plan as well. So aim for 3 to 5 goal-related tasks per week. So you can map this out by creating the time slots for habits or tasks in your ideal day and time block for deeper work in your ideal week. Remember when we put together the objectives for your goals, and I told you to identify if it's a project, if it's a system, or if it's a habit. Having that information is important because if it is a habit, right, it's something that you probably want to build into your daily routine. If it's a project that you need to get done, you probably want time blocks. Systems as well could be time blocked, right? And you can say, well, this is a system that I need to do for this goal, and I'm going to do the system every Monday and Thursday at this time. You know what I mean? You can pick the time blocks for yourself. But by knowing the type of objective it is, it's going to make it easier for you to plan and know where to put them in your plans. Like projects could just be time blocks, and then systems can also be time blocks, but you want to set them reoccurring. And then the habits you want to probably put into your daily habit plan, in your daily routine, so that you're actually putting together the habit, right? You're actually executing on the habit. So events and activities can be listed on your monthly calendar, right? So you want to have those on your monthly calendar, and if you have a paper planner. But also, I totally recommend, I always do this as a backup, I put it on a digital calendar as well. And then you'll want to also put those into your daily or weekly planning pages so that you see the activity and any associated tasks with them, so you can have it blocked off. And then tasks and habits can be listed on the weekly, daily planning pages assigned to a specific day, or it can be kept on your weekly to-do list, right? So you want to put them into your planner, right? You want to actually put them on your to-do list for the week or your daily to-do lists so they actually get done. We don't want to just leave them on the routine page because you may not look at that. I want you to kind of leave those pages out for yourself somewhere you can see them and refer back to them, but the tasks need to be put into your planner so they actually get done. So congratulations, you now have a master plan for a balanced and successful Q4. How does it feel? What did you think about this process? And are you feeling good and ready to take the next steps of getting it all done? If you enjoyed this workshop, found it valuable, and enjoyed my teaching style, I think you would be an excellent fit for the Charmed Life Mastermind, which is my planning, productivity, and personal development community, where you can learn research-backed strategies, access cutting-edge tools, and get accountability and coaching on demand to create your best life. So let the mastermind transform you from busy to balanced and from overwhelmed to overachiever. Inside of the mastermind, you get tools to help you build your ideal functional planner setup. You get accountability to your planning routines. You get systems for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, strategies to help you get more done in less time, and resources for personal development to up-level yourself. As a member, you get instant access to a library of content, hundreds of masterclasses, live Q&A replays, planning sessions, planner inserts, meditations, additional resources covering the topics of planning, productivity, mindset, goal setting, and metaphysics. You'll get 3 live Zoom calls per month. We have a monthly masterclass, a monthly coaching call, and then a monthly planning power hour. And all of the replays are available immediately after the call has ended. So if you can't come live, if you want this to be more of an on-demand experience that you fit into your schedule, you can totally do that. You'll have access to our mastermind Slack. So that's accountability, daily prompts, on-demand coaching with me. We have a book club in there, Q&As, monthly challenges, meal planning inspo, Spotify playlists, and more inside of our little chat community on Slack. And as a bonus, when you enroll in the mastermind annual membership, you get the 2026 Master Planner System for free. Now, here are some standout extras inside the mastermind to be aware of. We've got a book of the month and a Charmed Life library. Each month, we read a personal development book together, and I write a strategy synopsis of the key takeaways. So these synopses are organized on our membership site, so you can use it as a personal development Cliff's Notes or a resource to find your next great nonfiction read. We also have monthly challenges. Inside Slack, I organize productivity challenges that can help motivate you and keep you accountable to specific changes that you want to make. These are announced inside of our quarterly planning magazine, right? Usually. So guided meditations and mindset work, that's also something inside the mastermind. So we have a resource library with a collection of guided meditations and mindset work videos to help you start the day on your own terms, regulate your nervous system, and take a more holistic approach to your productivity. like I said, Quarterly Planning Magazine, that's one of my favorite resources inside of the mastermind. Each quarter, I publish a digital magazine that becomes your guide to the lessons and strategy that are coming up inside the mastermind membership that quarter. It's one of my favorite things to create for the mastermind community because it officially checks the box that I am the editor of a magazine, okay? I am a magazine editor. I do this Quarterly Planning Magazine for my mastermind sisters. We love it. I love it. End of story, right? Now I want to share with you guys some of my 2024 survey results. At the end of the year, I conduct a survey of my mastermind members to see what changes they've experienced as a member. And these are some really standout highlights that came about in the 2024 survey results. So 78% of the members who completed the survey said that they achieved new goals. 78%. 71% said they became better and more consistent with their planning routines. Of course, I give you guys all the planning routines, and we usually have a live class for them, which is fantastic, right? So you can follow along with the video and get your planning done. 64% said they successfully executed new productivity systems and strategies and improved their habits. 64%, improved their habits, implemented new systems and strategies because of the help in the mastermind. It's fantastic. So inside the Charm Life Mastermind, you are led by me. I teach all the classes, I lead all the calls, I respond to all the messages myself. And if my consistency on YouTube for the past decade is any evidence, you know that everything I do runs according to our plans. You get access to our complete library of classes and resources when you join, no matter what your membership tier is in terms of how often you pay. And I give you my all and don't pressure you to purchase other products. So if I'm running a promotion on a product, members of the mastermind usually get additional discounts, and I have some offers that only apply to members. Now, compare that with other similar programs, because I know I'm not the only mastermind like this out there on the internet that's helping you with your productivity. So in other similar programs, hosts only teach live or drop pre-recorded content, and then they rely on moderators to respond to comments, questions, and emails. So the host even often disappears and fails to upload content on schedule. This is something I've heard about a lot of other communities. In other similar programs, content is dripped, right? Or you only get access to classes or resources from your membership period unless you upgrade to a higher price tier that unlocks all of the access. I don't have any of that mumbo jumbo. It's all one mastermind. It's just how you're going to pay for it. That's the only difference. Do you want to pay for it annually, quarterly, monthly, etc. The host constantly, in other similar programs, pushes other products and offers on you. Your membership doesn't include everything that you need to succeed. You are constantly being pressured to buy more to get the results that you're looking for, which is not how it is inside of my membership. I give you guys everything. In fact, I don't know if anyone's been here with me live and you've been following along in the chat. I was just chatting with one of the members who's here today who wanted the slides for this class, and I'd asked her in the chat what specifically about this class did she want to be able to take with her. And she said the mindset stuff. So I told her I've never actually, those 9 mindset things, I have a lot of mindset work and things like that. I've never done anything specifically with those 9, but what I made a note already too. I'm going to make them a workbook based on these 9 limiting beliefs that we already went through in the first part of this class. And I'll give them, a little bit more in depth in terms of what it would sound like in your self-talk, what the strategies are that I recommend, and then I'll give them some space for specific prompts and additional activities for them to really be able to analyze and really take it in to personalize it for themselves. So I'm going to turn the first part of this class into a workbook that I'm going to drop for free into the mastermind, and it's not going to be available anywhere else. So a lot of the stuff that I create goes into the mastermind and only into the mastermind. So that's the only way to get certain things. I'm always constantly trying to find new ways to give my mastermind sisters whatever it is they need, right? To succeed, to master these lessons. So ladies, get excited for that. I made a note. I'm going to put it up for sure in the next week. If not, I try not to work on the weekends, but it's probably simple enough for me to just whip it up pretty quickly. So that's just an example, right? I'm not pressuring people. I'm not creating things and pressuring you to buy extra things. Everything that I do, the best of what I do, I think is inside of the mastermind already. It doesn't mean that it encompasses everything that I sell, but it encompasses a lot of great information and resources. So who is the Charm Life Mastermind right for? You might be asking. If you consider yourself to be an ambitious woman, you have lots of priorities, you're juggling and goals that you want to achieve, and you found your way to the planner community, excited to find like-minded community of women online that understands your passion for organization and creating a wonderful life, the mastermind is for you. If you came to the planner community and got excited about all the planners that you could buy and tried a bunch of them and then collected a lot of stuff, but the stuff wasn't making you any more productive, just lightening your wallet, before you buy the next shiny new planner that you think will finally solve your productivity problems, you should give the mastermind a try. The last thing you need is another planner, but what you actually need is coaching, personal development, and accountability to help you implement all the plans. That's what you get inside the Charmed Life Mastermind. It's like a productivity and planning Netflix subscription that includes a mix of live and on-demand resources to help you show up for yourself, your plans, and your goals consistently. Productivity is about more than planning and time management. It's about high-level strategy and self-mastery, expanding your capacity to get things done and eliminating low-value actions that aren't adding to your life. Q4 inside the Charmed Life Mastermind is a time of deep introspection, strategic planning, and accountability to help us build momentum to bring our year to its crescendo. Now is a wonderful time to join the mastermind if you want to get plugged into a network of resources and like-minded women to help you take control of your time and your life. So here is some of the work that we're going to do together in Q4. Q4, we always have our Q4 planning masterclass. We're going to kick it off. That'll be the first week of October. We do New Year's goal setting with the You Got Goals masterclass, right, in December. We have our CEO retreat, the business planning goal setting class that we do. Both the New Year's goal setting and the CEO retreat are like two-parters, right? So we have like two classes for each of those. We do a planner setup party to make sure your planner's set up for the new year. We have monthly coaching and strategy calls. We have monthly planning classes, right? So there's a lot of work that we do together on an ongoing basis, but some really strategic things that we do in Q4 for us to end the year strong and to start off the year on a positive note with a good foot, in the best momentum possible. So who is inside the mastermind? We have ambitious, high vibe, planner loving ladies working to create their charmed lives through research-backed strategy, tools, and accountability. Some of our mastermind sisters are business owners, coaches, authors, teachers, career professionals, lawyers, scientists, homemakers, working mothers, retirees, healthcare workers, government employees, energy and spiritual practitioners, and beauty service providers, and more. And their hobbies range from planning, knitting, camping, yoga, meditation, tarot, astrology, crystals, crafting, gardening, gaming, investing, spirituality and faith, community service, and more. So there is someone like you already inside the mastermind. So if you're wondering, is this for me? Yeah, it's for you. Now, why you should join us today, why you absolutely need to start right now if you're someone who wants to kill it in Q4 and wants to set yourself up for success in 2026. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And very often we don't have people in our daily lives that help to uplift, inspire, and advance us, which is why I created the mastermind community to begin with, to have this group of people who are already like me, who are already on this path with me, and that we could all do it together. So you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your circle. And if you need to upgrade that circle, I'll tell you, you're going to get a big upgrade when you join the mastermind. The second reason that you should join us is because success leaves clues. If you want to achieve more, surround yourself with people who are actively working towards their goals. Inside the mastermind, you'll gain insights from women who are planning, strategizing, and taking action so you can follow their lead and create your own success, right? Like success doesn't happen in secret. It leaves clues. And if you're wondering, right, how you can get some more tips and tricks and you want to become successful, learn from people who are actually doing it, who are showing up every day, who are being consistent, who are trying and failing and trying again, right, to make their goals a reality because their success leaves clues. And the final reason you should join us is because what gets scheduled gets done. So the biggest difference between those who succeed and those who don't is consistency. The mastermind provides the structure, the planning systems, and the accountability so you stay on track and actually follow through on your goals, right? Not only do I have scheduled classes and calls, right, for a variety of different topics, from your planning to your mindset, right, to actually like your learning and skill building, right? it's actually scheduled, right? For you to be able, all you have to do is show up. And I've built the entire process out. All you do is show up. So if you follow the schedule and work and, show up with us and come live, right? You are actually going to be showing up and doing the work, which is building your consistency. Now, if the times don't work with you for the lives, which it does for many people can't make it to the lives. It's totally okay. Everything is on demand as well. So you can still follow, right? When is the next, after Alexis's class drops, when is the next block of time I have to watch her replay and get the work done? It is built in for you. All you have to do, it's like a no-brainer, easy button. What gets scheduled gets done. I'm building you the schedule out, right, for getting things done. I'm giving you the process. I'm giving you the tools and resources. All you do is show up and do the work. And guess what? You become a more productive, well-planned and productive woman, right? It all happens over time as you show up. So join now, the Charm Life Mastermind, right? The link is in the video description. And let me tell you about the membership subscription options, right, to help fit your budget. Like I said, there's no tiers in terms of different things that different people get. What we have are 3 subscription options to help you fit this into your budget, right? So you can pay $44 a month, right? You get instant access to everything. It's all inclusive, right? $44 a month. Or you can pay 90 days, quarterly, $120 a quarter, you'll save 10% annually. Or you pay $444 a year, you save 15% annually, okay? With that option. Now, as I told you before, I have a special promotion running right now for our Q4 prep offer, for Q4 Crescendo right now. You can get an annual subscription to the membership for $333 a year. That is $111 off the annual membership subscription for a limited time. There's no code required. And as a bonus, you're going to get the complete 2026 Charmed Life Master Planner System free. It's a $125 value that includes the printables of the planner and the digital versions of the planner, and it includes the 2025 Charmed Life Master Planner. So if you don't have like a good system right now, if you don't have the planner already, you can start functional planning today, plan out the rest of the quarter, and then you'll have next year's planner as well for $333 for the year. Now, let Q4 be the crescendo of your year. Join the Charm Life Mastermind today. Link is in the description. Now, ladies, let me know. What questions do you have? I'm going to go through and review for a moment, but now is the time to join us inside of the Charmed Life Mastermind, get all of the amazing resources, get that built-in schedule, get the built-in processes, make your life easier, right? Make your life so much easier. Just say yes, join us now. Now is the time. You're going to have a wonderful Q4. You're going to be set up for success in the new year as well. Okay, I'm going to go through and just see if there's any other questions here. I've got a bunch of members here, so if you guys have questions, there's some members live. If they're sticking around, you can get their feedback. Here, Tanya Kappas is here, mystery author, Tanya Kappas, best-selling author. She's in the mastermind. She loves the mastermind. We have Carol here. She just rejoined the mastermind, right? So the mastermind's easy. You can join it for a period of time. If you don't want to use it, you can stop. You can cancel. I have no question and answer cancellation policy. So people come and go as they need, which is great. Oh, Nancy here says, I've done this workshop before and it was great. Glad to catch this one live. I feel like the holidays won't sneak up on me this year like they did last year. Absolutely. For sure, Nancy. Tanya, again, I love the mastermind. I've been using your system since 2018. Amazing. I think she's referring to the master planner, right? But I know I think she might also use the CEO strategy planner. The 3 Zoom classes a month are fire. Do you really? So Tanya loves it. She prints that. You print the magazine out? That's a lot of pictures, I feel like. I mean, maybe not. I guess it's a lot of text, actually. I use my magazine on my iPad. So give you guys like a PDF, and it is actually like linked. It's like a linked PDF for the magazine, and I read mine on my iPad. Donna Jones says Alexis is always so generous with her time and support. She's another one of my mastermind sisters. Cal says, thank you so much for your time. I know you're not feeling great, but you didn't miss me. I feel fine. I know I sound bad. I always feel so bad. I feel fantastic. I do not feel like I did last week. I feel so much better. Like I feel totally fine. I just have this thing going on in my throat. And I think I have like a teeny bit of like a post-nasal drip, which is contributing to the throat, but I feel fine. Outside of, the thing that took me, like the voice is always the last thing to get better. And I was, as long as I'm not like in a coughing fit, which I haven't had like a major coughing fit in a couple of days. Yeah, I'm actually feeling fine, but thank you. Thank you. Carol's also been using the Master Planner since 2018. Nancy said, and I came here today knowing I would be joining the mastermind. Got to get moving on some stuff. Absolutely. Nancy, everything is waiting for you inside. Get yourself signed up. I can't wait to see you in our next live class. Okay, ladies. Well, I think that is it. I think that we are all caught up. I think we are straight on everything, right? Like you guys have a plan for Q4. You know the fun stuff you're going to do. You know the obligations that you have. You know how you're going to be celebrating. You've got some goals. You've made a couple of really valuable time management tools, your daily and weekly schedule. You have a reframe on practically every major limiting belief that I think could hit you, right? So you are ready to go, hit the ground running for Q4. I hope you guys have an amazing season. I hope that many of you join me inside the mastermind and make it even better and just add to the numbers of amazing women inside. I cannot wait to personally help coach you guys through whatever it is that you're struggling with. Any questions that you have, any resources that you need, I am practically on demand for you guys. So I will say goodbye now. I hope you guys have a wonderful pumpkin spiced season or whatever flavor you like. And yeah, ladies, it was really great to see you and spend time with you. I hope to see you inside the mastermind. I really do. And if not, I will see you in my next video. Bye.